From their 1990 home album, that's the Hothouse Flowers on Freedom FM. And before movies, you were listening to Sean, who'll be back on your radio a little bit later on in the week. Well, good morning. Welcome to Monday, 25th of March, and to the Night Cruise. 2 hours of the best in 90s and noughties romance, relaxing and chill tracks anywhere on the radio. My name is Feargal. Thank you for joining me this morning. And if I say so myself, I've got a half-decent show planned out for you. Just after 1, I'm going to see if you can figure out what song it is that I've slowed down in our love a slowed down game. While in this hour, I want you to get in touch to squeeze the last few bits out of the weekend before we all end up back in work later today. And if you want to tell me anything at all this morning, you can hit me up on text or WhatsApp on 085 2899 092. And if you are going to WhatsApp, then why not send me a voice note? If you don't want to WhatsApp, you can email me hello@freedomfm.ie. And if you're on the socials, you can find me on Threads, Blue Sky and Insta under Voice Actor Fergs.
I always catch my breath.
It's the Night Cruise on Freedom FM, the best in 90s and noughties romance and relaxing tunes anywhere on the radio. And as always, on a Monday morning, we love to hear from you about your weekend in a part of the show called I Know What You Did This Weekend. And yeah, I know that's a terrible title, but to be honest with you, I really can't think of any other pithy phrases, as they say, for this bit of the show. Look, no matter what you did this weekend, be it something amazing like celebrating a big birthday, to just simply laying on the sofa and everything in between, get in touch and tell us what you got up to. As for me, nothing much to report. On Friday night, I went to see Shamrock Rovers v Bows in the Tallaght Stadium, after which I went to the Piper's Corner to hear some diddly-oily music. On Saturday, I spent the day getting the garden spring ready, lots of grass to cut. Tell you, I love the smell of fresh cut grass, and hedges to trim, which I don't like doing very much. On Sunday, I went with the family and with the dog for a good walk down on Maharamore Beach before coming to our studios here in the Bluebell Industrial Estate to play a few old records for you. Now, I'm sure your weekend was way more interesting than mine, so get in touch and fill me in on what you've been getting up to on 085 2899 092 on text and WhatsApp, and let's celebrate what you got up to this weekend, shall we? From back in her country music days, it was, count them, 18 years ago when Taylor Swift was telling us about the tears on her guitar. This is the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, and Arthur Dillon got in touch with me from Donabate this morning. Fergie says, I took my wife Barbara and our kids Dean and Lily to see the Aladdin musical at the Bord Gáis on Sunday night. The music, the lights and the feeling of the show was brilliant, and of course the kids loved it. Sounds like you had a bit of an experience, Arthur. Thank you for getting in touch with us this morning. Now, here's another WhatsApp, and this one is from Daisy Gallagher, who's in Rathmines this morning. Virgil says, Daisy, help me. I'm in bits. On Friday night, I thought it'd be a good idea to go out with my husband Frank to the Working Man's Club down in Wellington Quay for an 80s goth night. We got all dressed up like we used to and stayed there until God knows when on Saturday morning, which was a good thing at the time. But now, as we're still recovering, I'm not so sure. Oh dear Daisy, I'm sorry to hear that. And the only advice that I can give you is that as the flu can be a bit contagious, it might be your best excuse for not going into work later today. If you need one, that is. Now, if you got up to something this weekend, no matter how big or small, then tell us about it on WhatsApp 085 2899 092. Get in touch, share your experience, but you gotta be quick because the final round of I Know What You Did This Weekend is on the way right after we hear from Mariah. Now, I know it's a bit like saying you like Phil Collins, but I do like James Blunt. Seriously, I do. I know it's not popular, but I do. From his Lost Souls album, 1973 was the summer hit you were singing along to in 2007. Whether you like it or not, you were singing along to it, guaranteed. Morning, you're listening to The Night Cruise on Freedom FM. 2 hours of the best in 90s and noughties, relaxing and romance tracks on the radio. And for the last while, I've been asking you to get in touch to fill us in on what you've been getting up to over this weekend. And one person who's been on WhatsApp to tell us about their weekend is Lachlan Howard in Rathgar, who says, Feargal, I'm broke after the Paddy's weekend. Aren't we all, Lachlan? So I stayed at home and I spent the weekend reading a historical fiction book called The Angel's Mark, which is set in London in the 1590s. Once I started reading, I couldn't let it go. And now I gotta get into book 2. Thanks for telling us what you did, Lachlan, and it is a good book, isn't it? And I tell you, you won't be disappointed with The Serpent's Mark. And finally, this week's last I Know What You Did This Weekend shout out goes to Adam O'Brien, who tells me that he went to the sports ground in Galway to look at Connacht defeat the Lions on Saturday afternoon. It was a great feeling to be back in the crowd after the Six Nations break, says Adam. Thanks for getting in touch, Adam, and I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to being back in the RDS next Friday to see Leinster. Now, if you liked hearing what other people got up to this weekend, then you know what you have to do. Grab a family member or friend by the shoulder and tell them about this part of the show, and make sure you both search out Freedom FM next Monday just after midnight when we will do it all over again. A love song with a safe sex message. The Spice Girls stuck 2 become 1 to the Christmas number 1 in 1996. Good morning. You're on the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, the best in 90s and noughties romance and relaxing and chill tracks between now and 2. My name is Feargal, and the good news is you're just in time to have a go at this week's Love Slowed Down game. So if you're new to the cruise, well, thank you for stopping by, and let me take a moment to run how this game works by you. You see, just before I came on air, I popped into the production studio where I rummaged around in our box of old 45 vinyls, and after a bit I dug out a famous 90s or noughties romance or relaxing song. I slipped the 45 onto the record player, I slowed the speed down to 33.5 RPM, and I recorded a snippet of that song. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to tell me what song it is that I've slowed down. So, with all that said, let's have a listen to this week's Love Slowed Down. So if you think you've got a handle on what song that is and would like to play for a possible name check on the radio just before 2, then send me in your answer on WhatsApp to 085 2899 092 and tell me who this is. And if I get any wrong answers, I'll throw them at you after we lend an ear to Sophie B. Can you remember the names of the 2 major stars in the video to that? Enrique's love interest was played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Mickey Rourke played the villain. This is the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's made contact to play along with this week's Love Slowed Down game. The game where you have to guess the name of the artist and title of their song from a short, slowed down, hazy snippet of the song. And this week, I asked you to get a handle on this snippet. Now, I've had a few wrong answers, so I can tell you that this week's Love Slowed Down is not Bryan Adams' Here I Am. Neither is it Kiss from a Rose by Seal, and it's definitely not Have I Told You Lately by Rod Stewart. So, if this week's Love Slowed Down rings a bell for you and you fancy being in with a shot of getting a name check on the radio in a bit, then get in touch on WhatsApp 085 2899 092. And in case you need it again, this is this week's Love Slowed Down. And I will reveal all right after we hear from Dido. They've got a major world tour planned for next year, and right after their Rio gig, they'll be in Belfast on 23rd September and then Dublin on September 24th, 2025, before loads of dates in the UK. That's simply read on the Night Cruise. Right, I'd like to thank all of you who got through to play this week's Love Slowed Down game, and the song you've been guessing at is... As always, loads of you wonderful night creatures got this correct, but as you regular night cruisers know, the PC in the studio only lets me name check 4 people at any one time. So with that said, I'd like to say hello, good morning and well done to Liz Chambers, who got in touch from Nace, Ben Marsh, who reached out to me from Rathcoole, Cleo McLaughlin, who's in Sallynoggin this morning, and Stephen Cherry from Trim, who all correctly said that this week's Love Slowed Down is... Hang on, I almost forgot. If you enjoyed playing Love Slowed Down, then why not motivate a friend to listen in? So tell them about the game, then come back next week just after 1 when we'll do it all over again. As for this week, Love Slowed Down track comes from Feargal and Big Girls Don't Cry. That's Tony Braxton, and Unbreak My Heart tells me that is all the best I can make of your radio this morning. Thank you for your company, both you and your messages made to the show as always. Michael B will have breakfast for you at 8, and before that Alan will have the Freedom Years from 7. As for me, well, I'll be back later on tonight at 11 with another night cruise. Until then, thank you for your time this time. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.